Reports. We'll start out with Finance and Audit Committee. Mr. Malley.
Okay, a couple things at the last meeting. We did review some financial statements that Mrs. Jeremy started to create. We're still in the process of tweaking the information on there to make it more user-friendly. The report she ran had a lot more detail than we'd like at that time, so she's still learning, still working on that. We did review some of the projections at the last meeting. And the third item was the charge statement. We reviewed that. The Finance Committee has looked at it with the changes they recommended. And I present it to you for approval. So if you'd like, I'll address any questions that are in there, unless you want me to go through some of the changes. Highlight them.
Sure.
The majority of the changes were more for logistical reasons. We changed the meeting date to the fourth Wednesday of the month instead of the third. We took the footnotes out because they didn't apply anymore. They only applied in the first year of the charge statement. The biggest change was the changeover of members from January to July 1st. And at the last meeting, I had asked the board if they had a preference, and they didn't. So that's been incorporated in here. Other than that, just some minor tweaking words here and there.
Any questions on that?
I have a couple, I guess. You got a term is considered 2 years from July 1. You didn't say, starting at even years, odd years, or how that was going to end up working.
But that was in the footnote from when the charge statement originally took place.
Yeah, because it's been removed, the footnote's been removed, and this doesn't do it.
Because it doesn't apply anymore. It was for the first year, so now we have alternating years.
But I guess I'm asking, is this July 1st in here, this July 1st passed, or the
That's a
one
question that I was going to have the board address. We have two members that didn't make the change over in January. Everybody else has changed over for various reasons. So do we wait till next July 1st, do the change over now and complete that term, or it's at the board's pleasure?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a few questions, actually. One of the things that I saw changed is that the board members, the number of board members went from 3 down to 1 to 3. Why was that?
That was the committee's recommendation.
Based on what?
They were trying to have more of the community members versus board and staff members.
I just find it to be really surprising that at a time we have 3 CPAs on the board that are on the finance committee, that's the time to get rid of a couple. That's kind of odd.
We're not getting rid of a couple, it's
No,
1 to 3.
I also think, I'm sorry, I think the other reason we did that is we may not always have 3 financial people on the board at one time, and that's the reason why we did that. So it doesn't limit, you kind of keep your number of members maximum at 9, and the option from anywhere from 1, 2, 3 members on the board.
And that was the discussion that took place. One other thing that was stressed is they wanted some people with business and or finance backgrounds.
Yeah, I noticed that change too. One of the other things I'd indicated before was the membership, talking about missing 3 consecutive meetings, that tends to leave the ability to only show up 25% of the time and still have membership, which I think is an issue. So that should be addressed as well.
That was in the original charge statement, so we had left it the way it was.
I guess the biggest startling thing for me was looking at when we were supposed to get financial reports from the committee. As it stood, it said that we were supposed to get a report in July, a report in October, and additionally we were supposed to get a 3 to 5 year financial plan and prepare a report to the Board of Education each July. We haven't received any of these reports yet, and I'm just wondering why that is.
Okay. As you recall, we didn't meet at the start of our term. we've talked about this at the last few finance committee meetings, and we just really started talking about numbers at the last meeting. And this is one thing we kept talking about, well, what kind of report can we prepare for the board that the board doesn't already have? The finance committee is getting everything after the board approves it.
We're not able to get this
I
stuff
mean,
ahead of time.
unless the board's going to let us actually look at this stuff ahead of time and start actually doing work, we're just looking at it after the fact.
Mr. Chairman, we talked before about, in your prior experience, that you've had things that the committee, the finance committee has been able to get versus things they wouldn't be able to get. One of the things that concerns me on the audit is the same thing that we saw where all this hubbub was raised over the audit report that was a draft copy that we went through. So I can understand not seeing the draft, but you would give an indication that maybe there's some financial data that they could see before or something. Is that something that the committee's talked to you or discussed with you?
Many times.
And
And it's actually not Mrs. Jeremy.
It's not
We should be, addressing this, it's the board.
I
The board
understand
has
that.
to agree to release the information so the finance committee can review it and prepare a report instead of getting it after the board's already approved it.
And I'm trying to identify how things have worked in other areas in the past too, so.
Well, I like with your line of logic, and that we were talking about this at our last meeting when we sat down. I would like to see the board, the finance committee more proactive in guiding the board instead of after the fact. So, you know, maybe we can talk about right now, other things we can give the finance committee to do, like review our budget, like review our financial plan before we get it. You know, have them go through this and give them the access, the proper financial information to do so.
I guess my concern is they already had a charge to do some of this and deliver some reports for some of this stuff, and it hasn't been done. So
What
I'm more
reports would
concerned
we
about what's not
deliver
been done.
that hasn't been approved already?
Okay. I guess the other thing is that, you know, before you were talking about a newsletter or something, you had showed us a preliminary sample of the
Yes,
newsletter.
we talked about
What
that.
happened to the newsletter?
There wasn't enough interest in it, and the board never made a comment about it. The committee members, 2 members were doing about the majority of the work. So we decided to sideline that, and the talk was to possibly incorporate that with another committee and do one newsletter.
I guess my concern is that we spent a lot of time talking about newsletters that we ended up not doing, not receiving the reports that we said that we were supposed to be getting, and now you want to make changes on something that we've already had written and haven't even gotten yet from the committee.